Can this £5,000 launch monitor compete with TrackMan? Let's go find out. So today we're testing the Full Swing Kit launch monitor. Now if you haven't heard of these before, they've got a pretty decent roster of people invested in these. Tiger Woods, DJ, John Rahm, I'm sure you've heard of a few of them. Now as I mentioned before, this is £5,000, but it gives us loads of the technology that we see of some of the big guns on the market that are at a much higher price point. It can be used both indoors and outdoors. So if you're looking for something for a launch monitor room, but you also maybe want to take it to the range, this is really adaptable. So I just want to go through how it's set up, all the different data points and options and information it throws out at you. So let's get started. So first things first, the setup is pretty simple and it's very similar in terms of TrackMan if you've used that before. So all we're going to do is take the ball and go back 3 meters and put the machine down behind us. It's basically just 3 big steps for me because I'm little. Now there's 2 options here. You can connect this to an iPad, iPhone, device like that, and then it comes up with a camera on here and you can line it up. Or there's actually a camera built into the device, which is pretty cool. So if you didn't want any tech with you, you can line it up simply with the camera on there, and it actually shows the data up on the screen, which I really love. So the whole thing you can do in literally under a minute, so pretty simple and easy to use. Now personally I would say the thing I love about this compared to some launch monitors is that it goes behind the golf ball. For me, I love to use a launch monitor to work on my golf swing, have like club data, and I just feel like when you have something that's behind you where you have a camera setup involved and you can tell it very specifically where you're aiming, it's going to be a lot more consistent in terms of that club data. So this measures 16 different data points, and that's a mixture of ball and club data, and it has all the big club numbers that you would want if you were working on your swing, so club face, club path, club head speed, etc. It also has attack angle, which is actually quite uncommon on some of the cheaper launch monitors. So we're currently on the 5th hole at Carden Park, which means I've got my own premium golf balls. But actually what I really like about the Full Swing is the fact that you can use any golf ball, so you can take this to the driving range and you can tell it what type of golf ball you're using and then normalise the data. So if you go to the range, the ball's not quite flying as far, it's a distance ball, it can account for that and give you accurate data on what would have happened. I think that's really good in terms of if you want to keep practicing things such as like pitching or distance control when you're at the driving range, or even in winter when it's colder. If you're also really into the details, you can change the altitude. So if you're lucky enough to be going to play somewhere up high, or even if you live up high and you want to kind of practice what it'd be like at normal level, you can change that and see how it affects your numbers. You could just really juice your drive so your friends think you're hitting it really far. So in terms of data, this is what it spat out for me. We've got carry distance, total distance, club path and face angle. Sadly my club path's a bit too left at the moment. That's why I need one of these devices to sort me out. Attack angle, club head speed, spin rate, ball speed, launch angle, spin axis. That's like how the ball is tilted, so it controls which way the ball's spinning. Apex, so how high the ball's flying in terms of feet, smash factor, horizontal angle, side carry, face to path, and side total. Definitely feels like there's enough data there, unless you're like an extreme Bryson. So a few things it's missing that you might see somewhere else, in terms of maybe in TrackMan, like horizontal swing plane, vertical swing plane, but do we even know what that means? Like, I feel like unless you're a literal tour coach, no one knows what that means. Like, does DJ even know what that means? Definitely not. We've also got a little dispersion map on here. Now, one really cool feature, which I love about this and think would be great for people's games, is the fact that you can set your bag up in this. So if you're using it at home, you can tell it what clubs you use in your setup, and over time it tracks all the shots and generates your distances, which I think would be huge for then taking out onto the golf course and competitions and knowing your distances really well. I think that feature purely alone would improve people's golf. Now, I love the fact there's a little screen on this so you can look at the data, although I don't really want you to look at the total carry distance of that because it wasn't very good. But what you can do is move this around depending on what it is you want to work on. So actually, for me, I know I'm trying to work on my club path and get it further right, so all I need on there is that. I don't need to get distracted by any other number. So just carry distance, like I'm working on my direction of my swing. So let's get club path up there and try and move it a bit further right. If my path is right on this, you have to hit that subscribe button. Yes! You know what to do. You might as well like and comment while you're there too. Now you can also use the iPad or the iPhone you were using to change the setup on this and move it to a 4 display option. So you can see 4 different pieces of data then. So if you were working on something that involved more numbers, or actually maybe if you were a coach and you were using this for coaching, that would probably be the best setup. 1 degree better, it's better, but it's feedback, and that's what I love about launch monitors. You're constantly getting data and you know if you're getting better or not, or what you need to change. Now the one possible disadvantage I see of this versus TrackMan or other launch monitors is that in the app you don't have games. So a lot of the times I'll do pitching games or distance control where I'll tell it I want to hit 50 yards, 100 yards, 75 yards, and it'll score me based on that. Now you don't get that straight up in this app, but for like a 10, 15 grand saving on other launch monitors, I could literally just write that in my notepad and then write down what my score was. Or you can get third-party apps that connect to this, and then they give you things such as golf courses, which you can use if you had it in an indoor simulator, and also games. And you're only kind of paying £100-ish for that a year, depending on which app you go for. So there are options to kind of add that extra use in if you want to do that. Now let's talk accuracy. This is a fraction of the price of other things, so what's wrong with it? Well, we went all the way to Orlando to the PGA show this year, and were quite amazed when we got to the full swing stand and they had TrackMans and GC quads out on there set up with the full swing. You could hit balls and compare the numbers on all 3, and there literally wasn't really a difference at all. Like, how confident do you have to be in your brand and the accuracy of the data that at a consumer event with literally thousands of people pouring in there, anyone could go hit shots with all 3 of those devices down, tracking at the same time on the same shots, and see the data on each different device. Now in their actual stats they say it's within 1% of GC Quad and TrackMan. Now I'm not sure any of us are good enough to notice a 1% difference. I mean, I can't even get my path right. So 1%, I will take it for 15 grand. Now overall, I just think this is a great piece of kit, and it's really nice that the times are kind of changing and we don't just have one option at like 15, 20 grand now. We have more affordable options that people can bring into a home simulator, and it doesn't just have to be tour players that have this software. Now obviously it's still a big investment at 5 grand, but I think if you look at the other options that are kind of between 500 and 2.5 grand, they're either a lot smaller and not as accurate at long distance, or they only go in front of you, which I think sometimes just isn't quite as good, because how does the device know accurate where you're aiming, and how can you do things such as playing golf courses or working on your club data if you're not really happy and confident with knowing the device knows where you're pointing? Now I think if I was setting up a home simulator and I didn't have that budget to go up to a TrackMan, this is the option I would go for, because it's giving me really accurate, reliable data. I love the fact I can aim it and I know where I'm going. And actually if I want to upgrade and get those games and the simulator software, I can just go to a third-party app. I'm not tied in to do that forever, and I can just add in what I want through those third-party options. Overall, I've been really impressed with this. Love practicing with it. Need to hit some more balls and keep working on that club path though.